I am a artist, professor, messenger. I think, my work has always sort of been on that fence of beauty and ugly, but I think that's how I was raised. I was raised, you are this beautiful young man, and at the same time was told that in spite of your beauty and your inner strength, you also have to be aware of racism. So beauty is my way of bringing power back into my work. It's what gives my work the strength to overcome the darkness. It dominates the darkness. My father passed when I was 16, and I think from a single mother raising 7 boys, and I just found myself staying creative by working with what was around me. May it be sort of leftover remnants from garments, or whether or not it was teaching myself how to macrame, or I used to just make my mother all of these macrame garments and just things. I wish I had saved all that. But, it's interesting, when I used to go to residencies, I would grab just my backpack. I would take nothing with me. I would send no materials or nothing. And I would be gone for 4 months sometimes. And I would just my approach is figure it out when you get there. And so that allowed me to constantly be changing the way in which I would be working. And so that became this new way of thinking about building work, recognizing that my resources were really outside of my studio, and looking at surplus and the excess of just stuff that we're surrounded by, and sort of reusing it, reclaiming it. Most of my work is built from one small object that is multiplied by thousands. And so really it's all been based on building this second skin, or something that has always shielded or sort of protected me in some form or another. I was just in the process of building this sort of new body of sound suits, which were really about what would be Sound Suit 2.0, and thinking about year 2020. And, I think we all thought it was going to be like this space odyssey way of existing, just ambulance that lived in this other kind of space world. And then George Floyd happened, which what that did is that it forced me to shroud all of these sound suits with this overlay of despair. But yet what it did was, in spite of the despair and the weight of that, this revelation of Black excellence just sort of took position. And so now I'm in this other way of operating, which for 3 decades I have been putting light on racism. And now what I have come to realize is that I will bring Black excellence first. And when a reoccurrence of racism comes into play, then I will incorporate it into that work in that moment. When I was invited to do this exhibition, for me, it's like I'm a messenger first. And so Forothermore is, it's this inclusive sort of moment that creates space for us together, creates space for us to communicate. It's about my commitment to talking about humanity. And so I want the takeaway to be about a consciousness, to ask yourself what matters and why are you here in this moment right now.